Yo everyone, what's up? Welcome to another training session of Chess Lifestyle. I realized I forgot to set the timer, so I am going to do that real quick. But yeah, there have been some conclusions to the chess drama I dealt with yesterday? No, a couple days ago. Honestly, time is such a construct, like, why do we even bother? But yeah, no, that was a very exciting conclusion. I'm trying to work out how many minutes is 38. Okay, let's go with this. Because I want to show you guys some other stuff, not just train chess today. But we definitely will be doing our 38 minutes of training, and it's actually amazing. We are up to 2,277 subscribers, which means 2,277 seconds, which means 37.95 minutes. So we have literally raised our training by a whole minute in the past week. So that's an extra minute every day, which is gonna add up, you know. So that's pretty good. Hey Josh, what's up? How's it going? So yeah, I wanted to update people with the result of the drama. But before I get onto that, you know how the famous saying goes, good things come to those who complete their chess tactics. So we're gonna do our 38 minutes of training first before I reveal what exactly was the conclusion to the chess drama I was telling you about. But before we even do the tactics, I just wanted to show you and share with you like some of the absolute grind you have to like grind when you're playing at like 2400 level online when you're not just like a titled player. And I want to share with you this game because this was like my first Blitz game of the evening, and I managed to finish on a positive on both Blitz and Rapid. So like in terms of my grind towards 2500, like it's been a good result because yeah, I went negative and managed to rescue it, right? So from that standpoint, things were good. And basically I was just in the mood today that I was just not gonna lose. Like there was nobody I was gonna face that was gonna be able to beat me. Like, okay, on position for sure, but like I was just so determined. Like it's not happening, right? So I play my signature opening recently, this Garganetza Modern with c6 d5. And okay, my opponent plays e5, and recently I've actually shown this exact position to a student who was like asking me some questions about it because he's been experimenting with it too. And you just trade off this bishop and you give up your bishop pair, but it doesn't matter because it's a closed position. And h5 is probably dubious according to Engine, but it's the idea is like you're trying to take some control over the g4 square. So yeah, that's the idea. And okay, I played knight h6. I'm not necessarily wanting to play knight f5 immediately, because I'm not so sure how I feel about them chopping my knight. But okay, I'm just developing my pieces, and probably I want to go like c5, knight c6, and then c5, knight c6, and just keep my king in the center and just see, right? My opponent goes g4, and I realize, well, I don't really want to take and, deal with this pin. So I thought, well, actually, maybe g4 is a bit of a concession, right? What if I just go back? If they ever take, I can take with the rook. Seems all right. And I play a6 here, which is probably just bad. Like, I think I was just like, I mean, as you can see from the clock, right? I've already got a 15-second advantage over my opponent, right? So I was playing quite quickly. And maybe I should have just gone c5 immediately and just play knight c6, because normally a6 is useful when the knight is on c3 and can potentially jump in, right? But I was kind of just playing, a few moves on automatic. I played this c5. And here, yeah, I was thinking whether I should just like allow this, but I also wasn't so sure about potentially these kind of like tricks, right? Like I just felt that there was like some pressure here and I didn't want to risk anything. So I decided to take, and I felt like this is a bit risky because white can try and take over the h-file, which I think white should have actually done. But my thinking was, well, I would play queen a5, provoke king b1, develop my knight so that when he plays rook here, I would somehow be able to develop, and when he takes, play castle's queenside and just make sure everything is secure. But of course I forgot that if I ever try and castle queenside, I'm dropping f7. So to be honest, my position is already pretty rough. And actually he played knight b3, which of course is just a good move as well. And I played queen c7. They took my pawn. I decided to play b6 knowing that, okay, I'm sacking another pawn. So I'm just 2 whole pawns down, as you do. But I felt like, okay, you know, like, I've got 4 minutes on the clock. They've got 3 minutes, right? I can try and grind this down, right? They play queen e2, threatening a simple move. Like, this is the most important thing. You can't blunder. If you blunder, you're dead lost. So, okay, I play queen c7. They give me a check. And they play c4. And, okay, this is actually nice because it gives me a chance to develop. Like, I'm very happy if I can get my knight on d5. They push c5, and now I take, because I realized that actually if they take on c5, I can take on e5. And there's no, like, discovery, like this isn't a check or something. And he plays c6, which is kind of clever, because he's trying to win my queen. So again, you can't blunder, right? If you blunder, then it's all over. So bishop g7, bishop b6 comes, and again, like, you know, I'm so close to being completely lost. Like bishop a6 would come and I'm probably toast. So I have to play king e8, have to play king f8. Now they trade. And again, I'm on 3 minutes 30 and 1 minute 30, right? So I'm keeping an eye on the clock this whole time. Plays rook c1, I blockade with the knight. Bishop e3, and now I try and bring my king back into the action, right? Like if bishop c5, I'll probably just play here and maybe just about get away with it, right? So my opponent plays a4, as he should. I play bishop d6, bishop c5, and okay, I just try and tickle a bit, right? Like maybe threaten to win a pawn. Plays rook f1, I just tickle a bit more, okay, f3. And then I come up with the idea that I want to maybe take this pawn, so I play king f6. And I also wanted to threaten like these rook b2 ideas, right? So this was my idea. I decide like, okay, let's trade, let's take the pawn. And again, the clock. I'm 1 minute 49, my opponent is 31 seconds. Like for sure, like, you know, I'm dead lost in the position with these pawns and this bishop pair, but okay, like he's got 30 seconds. So I'm really grinding this down. I offered a trade because I know that if we get opposite colored bishops, I reckon I can hold this at least for 30 seconds. And this happens, my opponent is starting to speed up, he's starting to play a bit better, but okay, I shut out his pieces a bit. And I try and just keep making moves, right? Like try not to just blunder completely. And it's so tense, and I'm just trying to hold everything together. Of course, everything is just dead lost. I'm just trying to hang on. And my opponent's down to 3 seconds, right? I've got 34 seconds. And at this moment, yeah, I played rook c1. And my idea was I would just play really quickly so that my opponent flags. And I play the move rook c8. And he plays queen d6 with 0.2 of a second. And I look at his clock and I realize he's got 0.2. So I try and play as fast as I can. And the guy is pre-moved. And after all of this grind, like, of just hanging on for, like, 58 moves, I blunder a mate in 2. Like, literally, I could play anything here. I could literally just play rook here. I could literally play anything, and anything is winning. And I literally just blunder mate in 2, and all of that grind is for nothing. So, basically, yeah, that was awful. And I see that we've gained a few viewers in the time that I explained this tragedy. And it is time to do some work. So we are just going to grind through chess neurons. Let's see if we can do all 10 of the exercises in our 38 minutes of training. And as always, if any of you have any questions about your chess or about my chess, feel free to message the chat. So let's begin. As always, let's evaluate the position before trying to find the move. And I will remember this time to stick my head on the other side. Right, so black's turn to move, evaluate, and work out what to do. Again, I'm proper daydreaming. I'm proper daydreaming. It's been a long day. It's been a long day. Okay, okay. Focus, focus, focus. Let's go. Okay. Did anyone have any thoughts about the game I just showed, by the way? Like, I'm curious, like, if you guys are disgusted or yeah, you feel my pain. Like, I'd be very curious to hear. Um, but yeah. Okay, so let's discuss these. So basically, in this position, material is equal, although there is significant pressure on this pawn, so it might not be equal soon. King safety wise, I think White's king is slightly safer. I would feel like this queen looks a bit more menacing. But in general, both kings are pretty safe because, both sides have dark square weaknesses, and neither side has a dark square bishop or something to like punish this. Um, so what else is there? We've got pawn structure. We've got an interesting situation where we've got this isolated pawn, but it is a passed pawn, and then you've got this structure, which I guess like long term, this bishop is going to be favorable against all these pawns on the light square. So probably White's pawn structure is better, despite this backwards pawn looking a bit ugly. Hello, Alvin. Hello, Cameron. And hello, Joshua. Even though I already said hi to Joshua. Also, Cameron Gray. You're not from my school, are you? Like, because there was a Cameron Gray in my year, so that would be pretty coincidental. Um, Definitely an unfortunate blunder, but something I would do. Yeah, that last game. Oh my god, the point two. It was just so savage because I was just in such like a powerful mood. Like, I mean, you saw how bad the chess was, but I was like sure I was gonna survive. I was gonna win that game on time. I was gonna dirty flag this guy so hard, and yeah, to blunder the mate in two was just yeah, tragic, tragic. But okay, let's think. So yeah, we've evaluated the position. Time for our candidate moves, right? So ultimately, the crux of the position lies on this pawn. So I really want to just push this pawn, and yeah, get on with pushing like this passed pawn. I mean, passed pawn should be pushed, right? And we never want white to establish a blockade on this passed pawn. Otherwise, this pawn is looking more and more sad. So I think d4. I mean, okay, you could consider some other candidates maybe, but I mean, if we come back to Krasenkov's calculation, right? Like we want to go with the calculation, and my goal is to save this pawn, and I'm not really interested to do much else right now. So I think for me, d4 has to be correct. Yeah, pass pawns must be pushed. Black's pass pawn was not only being attacked, but also white had plans of blocking it, exactly. So yeah, okay, we got it. And nope, not me. Okay, cool, cool, cool. I mean, I wasn't very close to the Cameron Gray from my school, so it would have been like a little awkward. I don't know. So, but yeah, glad to have you here. But okay, I think that's all good. So basically, interesting that they don't give rook d4 but queen d4. I guess that makes sense actually, because rooks are not ideal blockaders. As you can see that like the rook, when it blockades, it's kind of limited, right? Like the pawn itself actually blocks the rook. Whereas if you imagine like a queen or a knight or a bishop, they still keep their diagonal control. Or a knight, of course, is the best blockader, where it still keeps all of its control over the board. So yeah, and it says, we push it even further. Interesting. I mean, for me, I would definitely be more hesitant about this move because we're like kind of fixing it on a light square, and the opponent has a light square bishop, but I guess it's fine. Okay, so if queen c5, queen h4, improving the queen's position, black's dominating due to the advanced pawn and active pieces. Okay, and if king h2, rook d4, and queen f6, black's planning to play queen f4, put pressure on the rook and the b4 pawn. Right, so this is the thing, right? Like, you know, at the start, probably I was actually wrong about evaluating that the pawn structure was better for white, because ultimately, sure, you know, this pawn is on a light square, these pawns are on light squares, but, okay, these pawns are actually helping keep the king safe from this bishop. This is a pass pawn, and ultimately this is a crystal, and this is a backwards pawn. So actually, yeah, my evaluation was really poor about the pawn structure. Like, this is just a weakness. But in any case, d4 is correct. Okay, let's move to the next one. Okay, so black to play. Again, evaluate, and then try and think of the move. And feel free to write your answers in chat. Don't worry about spoiling the moves. I mean, like, if people want to solve it, they can just focus on the stream, not the chat. So just go for it in chat. Okay. Again, I'm starting to look for the answers, but I should just be evaluating. So always evaluate the position first, so you understand, you know, what is the purpose of this position. So it's crazy, guys. I used to be a proper night owl. Like, this would be like prime time for me. And I went on holiday, and I had jet lag, and I completely reset my body clock. So now this is like proper bedtime. This is bedtime for me. So yeah, this is rough. This is very rough. I'd be curious how many candidate moves you guys are going to consider. So everyone put a number as to how many candidate moves you've considered in this position. You know what? One thing I need to do, I need to gift the YouTube membership to all the Patreon subs. And I've completely forgotten to look into that. I don't think it's actually so easy to do, so I need to find out how to do that. Okay, that should be enough of a reminder. Okay, so let me explain my evaluation, and okay, wait, actually no, let me decide how many candidate moves I'm thinking of. Okay, to be honest, okay, nice, I win. I said 5. I've got 5 candidates. No, Lucas, you lost the knockout match. Come on. You're supposed to do better than like my time at Langton. Like, we'd always get. Wait, did you get to the semis or was it the quarterfinals? I can't remember what you said last time. Was it a close match? And how did the team get on? I think, to be honest, like, probably the best thing to do, like, if you guys are gonna like hardcore try and like win at team stuff, is you all play the same opening. You all like share like your prep and your theory and your understanding, and just get good. Because like when I played at Langton, like, you know, no one really knew what they're doing. And then I taught everyone the French defense because that's what I played. So literally, we were going to matches, all 4 of us playing like the French defense, like our top 4 boards. It was like we're all playing the same openings, And yeah, it was good vibes, really good vibes. Quarterfinal, okay. Rats. And St. Olaf's B as well. So the B team was actually strong. That's insane. But yeah, tough luck. But yeah, let's discuss this position. So, in terms of King's safety, it's actually not clear cut to me because at first glance you look at this and you're like, oh, the Black King has to be weaker, right? But ultimately, okay, this H file is open, and like when we look at Black's pieces, like come on, these pieces are tremendous. Whereas there's a lack of development over here. So, in fact, yeah, White's King is definitely weaker relative to the pieces, which obviously you always have to consider. In terms of material, it's very important to note that the position is opposite colored bishops. And in an endgame, this can mean that the position is drawn, but in a middle game, this could mean that, basically, it does mean, that whoever is attacking will probably win. Because ultimately we have such dominance on the light squares, and black and white will have such dominance on the dark squares, that if one side can coordinate an attack on that color complex, you're very likely to win. So this is a very important material difference that has to be noted. And then finally, pawn structure. Okay, probably long term, white has the better pawn structure. However, this pawn is a fantastic pawn controlling the square. So this could be like, momentarily an asset in terms of the pawn structure. And even actually this pawn, as bad as it is, like ultimately you're stopping like some immediate tactics, right? So maybe there's some merit to this pawn structure too. So all in all, I think black is like definitely better and probably winning, to be honest. And now it's time to consider candidate moves. Now, obviously you've got to consider your checks. So this is one candidate move. The next candidate move that came to my mind was whether we could play like rook e8 with some kind of idea. The next candidate move was, can I actually just throw in this queen d3 instead? Keep the queens on, because ultimately this is a trading of queens. So maybe keep the queens on, hit this rook. That's another candidate move. So that's how many? You got 1, 2, 3. Okay, another candidate move for me was maybe king f7 in terms of like opening up the h file for my rook. And one more candidate move. What was it? Wait. Can I count? 1, 2, 3, 4. I literally had one more. Bishop c8. Bishop c8 was another. Just in case, like, yeah, maybe if this like threat is like super good, because it's like, it's kind of a fork. Like maybe if we can distract the queen off the diagonal somehow, then this can be good. So I had 5 candidate moves. Now, okay, welcome Steven to the stream. And the French, yeah. So honestly, guys, like I got to a level, the equivalent of like 2050, like ECF, so national rating, playing at 1900 FIDE, playing the French, and I literally thought that was just how life was, Like, I'd like when I got strategically better positions, I'd crush my opponents, and so many times, like I would just lose from a crushing attack, and I was just like, you know what? This is just how life is, right? Like when an opponent knows how to attack, you just have to be a beast at defense, and if you're not, you just lose. And little did I know, the French is just absolutely awful in terms of your defensive practical chances. Because, okay, I've got to rant about this, guys. Like, let me quickly just show you. But the whole problem with the French, just very briefly, is that in most of the lines, okay, if my internet will load, in most of the lines, whether you're playing with e5, whether you're playing with knight c3, whatever, you are reaching positions where this white bishop is going to dominate on this diagonal. And the attacking prospects for white are just tremendous. And I was playing games where like I'd be like slightly better according to engine, and then somehow I'd misplay and lose, and I just thought like like I just suck, like as you would, like why would you think that the opening is the problem? But no, it's just this bishop is so strong, and there are literally openings like what I'm playing now with this Garganitsa. This is just fantastic because there's literally no problems ever on this diagonal. Your king is completely solid, and you get a close position, outplay the opponent and win. Or you can play the Caro-Kann, which literally gets the bishop out super early, controlling this diagonal, and the attacking prospects are also stunted. Unless white is a massive sweat, knows some super like precise theory to cause you some problems. But principally, the Caro-Kann is just completely solid and good as well. So point being, don't play the French. It's it's really not good. It's really not good unless you are a sweat called Ravi Harrier, who literally became Grandmaster by playing French from the age of 5 all the way until Grandmaster. But he literally like knows so much, like it's literally insane. Like he was outplaying and beating 2600s with the French, because ultimately the French is good. And if you are completely prepared and you know every single attack and you are completely booked up to move 25, you will have a great game and you can play the French and you'll crush people, because like, you know, white will play these attacking lines and ultimately they're not good. From a practical perspective, they're good, but from like an engine perspective, they're not. So like, you know, if you know how to play like an engine, of course, you're going to be able to play it well. And yeah, respect to Ravi, like just stuck to the French, didn't deviate ever and made it to GM. So yeah, fair. But yeah, to summarize about this position, I mean, my instinct, if I had to just play a move like in a blitz game, let's say I've got like 30 seconds, I'm gonna play rook e8, because rook e8, like, it keeps all the tension. I'm not really changing anything. The only issue is that, okay, maybe I'm too slow, right? Because white is currently underdeveloped. With rook e8, I give my opponent a chance to develop. Maybe my opportunity is lost, right? But yeah, that's just my instinct in a blitz game if I had to make a move. But yeah, there should be something here. Like, this development is so bad. So let's go through one by one. So we should look at our checks first. So queen d1 check, queen takes, rook takes, and king h2. All of this is forced. And the question is whether we can like muster up some kind of attack. Now, the good news is that even if there's no attack, the rook is currently pinning the bishop to the other rook, and this may already be significant enough for an advantage. So if we, let's say, just play for this and king h2, can we already play rook e8 with the idea of rook d1 and just win? And when I say win, I mean like, okay, like you don't have a threat, right? Like white has enough defenders, but the point is, okay, maybe you're able to remove the defender, but even if you're not, like, that means you just have full control of the position, and you can, let's say, play with your king. Like, I don't know how you can bring the king in, but, or maybe you can somehow play with the pawns and cause a problem. Like I don't care if it's like winning or not, but if we can get this position where we have a complete grip, like, I don't care, I'm gonna flag my opponent. Like, you know, you're gonna win, like, with this kind of position. So let's actually think, like, if we can get this and play rook e8, is there any saving grace? There's no discovered check with the bishop. Discovered attack, I mean. What if rook d2? So rook d2 is trying to solve this problem. And yeah, if we bring the other rook down and we trade one pair of rooks, I'm feeling a little less hopeful of like this plan. I mean, it's probably still good, but I mean, for instance, there is a way out. Like I don't know, white can play like b4, b3, and try and play bishop b2, which defends the rook, and then they unpin, right? So it's maybe worth playing. It's maybe worth playing, but let's see if we've got anything better. Like, at this point, like, you shouldn't like be trying to make it work, because we've got 4 other candidates, right? So we already said maybe rook e8 isn't so pretty, because, you know, black just develops, and what have we achieved? Unless we are like sacking and winning, then it's not really working, and it's not. So then I think we want to consider this move. I mean, we're threatening to win this rook, but rook d2 looks like a pretty strong move to me. So I don't see progress there. I mean, you should always try and look one move further than your calculation in case like you've missed something, but I really don't see like what's the idea. And then we have bishop c8 with the idea of trying to distract the queen, but probably just a move like queen e2 seems really fine. Unless, no. So that doesn't really work either. And then finally my candidate king f7, I mean, it does allow a check. We could play queen f5, potentially fixing our pawn, improving our pawn structure. Um, King f7, queen f4. Queen f. Oh no, I was gonna say queen f4 blunders mate, but it's a check, of course, right? So king f7, queen f4. Probably we would have to settle for this, and that's not so bad. Oh no, it is bad because you just lose this pawn with check, and that can't be good. I don't believe that. I think we're probably like worse there. So that basically makes me feel like, okay, we should probably just go for this. If we've got no attack, unless we've missed something, I think this should be there. So we can have a very quick scan to see if there are any like resulting candidates from the calculation we just did, like anything jumps out at us. But I'm really not seeing it. So I think for me, I'd fancy my chances with this line, right? So giving up on my attacking prospects, that looked really great, but playing for this. So what does the GM say? He says white's development is not being completed. This move helps black in stopping white's bishop in developing, and in process the rook on a1 will remain passive as well. So ultimately, yeah, in this position, yeah, rook e8 and rook d2 was like my main line. Okay. So interesting. Black's rook is quite active. They must not exchange it. So this was where I made this perhaps mistake of playing rook e8, e1, but this also makes sense because I'm keeping up the pressure, right? But rook f1, interesting. I mean, you could also argue that this rook has been active as a result, right? So I'm not so sure how I feel about this, but okay, the bishop finds a lovely home on f5. And I see. So even though this rook gets active, the point is we're actually winning material by force. So that's, yeah, I guess that's worth it, right? And then with f3, I guess this is just going to illustrate that, yeah, bishop f5 is coming next. g4, g5, and bishop e6. Right. Planning to play bishop f7 to g6. So a very long-winded plan, but, you know, you don't have to calculate this, right? Like, if you think that you need to calculate this, you don't. You just need to calculate far enough to make sure you're on the right path, and then you can find the continuation, right? So okay, let's see what everyone is saying. Oh, you played a French too? Memorized 2 chessable courses. I hate the French exchange. Interesting. I think you need to realize with the French exchange that sure, you're one tempo down and your opponent could play in a symmetrical way that would be very annoying, right, with the extra tempo. However, there are 2 practical elements that allow for the French exchange to actually be really, really good, I think, for black. One is that because white is going first, you have full reign to break the symmetry. So if you have multiple setups within the French exchange and you see your opponent's going for one setup, you can be like, okay, actually I want to break the symmetry and do this one. Alternatively, if you want to draw and you feel like, you know, if you copy, you're going to get that draw without too many difficulties, okay, you've got that option too. So you can break the symmetry. And what was the second point? I had a really good second point as well. Yeah, the second point is that, well, 3 points actually. Okay, I'm really advocating for the French here. The second point, what was the second point? God. Okay, the second point is that you're going to have a lot more experience playing the French exchange compared to your opponent. Like if you play the French every game, you know, over half of your games are going to be e4. And if you're going to be playing French every time, then you're going to get more experience of the French exchange than your opponent. So when you're playing a symmetrical position where you have more experience than your opponent, this can only be in your favor, right? Because it's going to be like very cagey kind of chess, and if you know it well, then yeah, you'll just outplay your opponent to win. And then finally, what is the third point? Why French exchange is very good. This is why chess is hard for people like me. Like our short-term memory is so bad. Like I'm so tired. What was the third point? Literally, what was the third point? Nope, I got nothing. So yeah, in conclusion, there are at least 2 points which mean the French exchange is good. Oh, I mean the chess opening. I do. So Stephen, I really ranted for the French for nothing. for God's sake. Okay, yeah, having prep where you can equalize and nobody knows about, this is the goal, right? This is what you want. I mean, literally equalizing prep that everyone knows about, it's just so dumb because the opponent will have some kind of novelty somewhere and you'll just lose. It's like you've got to be more creative from the get-go if you're serious. King f7 at the end with rook h8, rook h1. Right. I don't know. Okay, you're saying at this moment, right, Holden? I think you're saying at this moment that you want king f7 at the end with rook h1. Like, I looked at this. I didn't say it out loud, but I did look at this. And of course, you know, if white plays a move like g3, then happy days. But like, you know, white can always just play king g3. If needed, and probably maybe white is just about getting out of this, right? Like maybe they can play like b3 here. You give a check and oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Like maybe they can't do this. So maybe this is still enough, right? Maybe this is still enough. So probably king f7 is good. Like let's check this out. Unless we miss something. So king h2. So rook e8 was top move. But what's wrong with king f7? Looks good to me. This rook d2 plan, right? Yeah, which is what I was saying. And now basically there is no time to do this. And yeah, this was where this pin is good, but probably not enough, right? So this was my fear that I was having. You still like bishop c8? We can have a look at bishop c8. So bishop c8 completely gives up all advantage. And actually queen d4. What a wild move. What? Why is this not good? Okay, so we just sack a pawn and probably we can't hang on to it, right? Like, wow, and we start getting fancy with bishop f5. Okay, after queen c8, what if queen e2? Okay, so there's a slight like hook on the position with bishop d3, right? Okay, interesting. Queen d4 was quite wild though. Yeah, okay, Holden and Steven like reconnecting. Nice. Mr. Eagle said it would be great if you come and play a team match. Let's do it, man. Let's do it. I don't know, like, when I'll be free. I mean, next time I'm in Canterbury, probably it's around April time, and I think quite a few, like, old gun, chess players will be down in like Easter kind of time. So I think we should aim for April, Easter. I'll make a note. Maybe Lucas, you could just drop your Lichess username so I can message you, or you can message me like a Ponziani master. We'll just discuss and make it happen. Like I'm sure my my cohort of chess club members would love to play, and crush you guys with all our added experience and knowledge. But yeah, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so you know what? Actually, let's do a hard one. Let's do a hard one. Right, we're probably not going to have time to do all 10 with all of us chatting. And I do want to tell you the conclusion of the drama as well, which I'm sure you guys are all very curious about what happened there. Okay, so this is a hard exercise. Evaluate and then decide. Okay, let's start this again so we don't lose any like copyright nonsense. Okay. So yeah, as always, anyone joining the stream now, you're welcome to save the answer in chat. If you don't want any spoilers, just ignore chat and try and come to a conclusion yourself, and then you can refer to chat to see what everyone else is saying. I mean, in a blitz game, like I have my move like 100%. Like I wouldn't even be stopping and thinking here, to be honest. I would just play this move and we'll think on the next move. That's my that's my kind of vibe with this position. But okay, let's try and come up with some candidate moves. Maybe there's something I'm missing that's a bit stronger. Okay, I've got 2 candidate moves at least. Maybe a third, but I'm already dismissing it. Yeah, I'm feeling lazy. I think 2. Okay, let's chuck a third one. Let's chuck a third one. Okay, I see a somewhat interesting third move that looks way too. It just looks wrong, but maybe it's actually very precise and actually very smart. These are actually the moves that I need to work on, actually. The kind of smart moves that look wrong, but they're actually good. And I think probably a lot of intuitive players need to work on this. And actually, it's interesting because that's actually what Argard defines as calculation, like the moves that aren't in your intuition, but you're actually working hard to find. So yeah, Argard's got an interesting take on calculation, but I do think it is a skill to like find moves that don't look right and play them because they are right. Okay, let's discuss. So I've got 3 candidate moves, but let's first evaluate the position. So firstly, we should talk about the king's safety. I mean, probably black's king is safer than white's, just because if you look at the pawn structure, it's facing this way, and generally white's going to be playing on the queen side, black's going to be playing on the king side. We don't have the possibility of putting a knight on f3, although a knight on f1 should secure the deal. So both kings are safe. Black's king slightly safer than white's. In terms of material is equal. Pawn structure, white's got the better pawn structure. And this is the kind of pawn structure that I would crush my opponents in with the French, right? Because there's this backwards d5 pawn. It's just such a crappy pawn. As soon as this pawn drops, this pawn will drop as well. And if you just compare this backwards pawn to this backwards pawn, we see that the f2 pawn is much more solid and sturdy. And yeah, this will be a much easier target. So in terms of pawn structure, white is doing better. And because of that, I would actually evaluate statically that white is slightly better here. And for anyone who doesn't know Dorfman, I've got a video discussing Dorfman in a more abstract way. But basically what Dorfman says is when you've got a static advantage, you should play statically, which means improving your position within the realms of the position without switching anything up drastically, right? So not like sacking a piece, not changing the pawn structure, not like, exchanging some material to change the material balance, basically just playing within the position. So the move that, okay, now we come to our candidate moves, right? And my 3 candidate moves were a4, knight b5, and bishop a6. So a4 was the move that I was wanting to just play. Knight b5 was like, okay, maybe this could be perhaps useful, but I don't think it's like necessarily critical. And then bishop a6 was the weird looking move that might be actually pretty strong because it covers c8. So the reason why I play a4 instantly is just because I'm a brain dead idiot that would love to just win some material and have an easier game. Having said that, I don't think it's a bad idea because like if you don't create a threat, you're not going to win material, right? So you just play a4, you see what your opponent does. Maybe they just automatically bring this rook out first, and you just play bishop a3 and you just win. So like right now I'm not playing classical, like seriously I'm playing blitz and rapid seriously, so I can make comments like this, right? So okay, a4 is what I would play. But okay, maybe there's an argument to say that maybe it's more important that we deal with like some aspects of the position immediately. So perhaps bishop a6 covering rook c8 is useful. So okay, let's say they play rook c8, getting out of the pin. Is this such a big deal? To be honest, I don't think so. I mean, I think the queen is already slightly misplaced on this open c file, so I don't mind after a4 just moving it to queen b3. And okay, if they play rook b8, so like I just go to a2 and my queen is nice and safe. I'm putting pressure on d5. I'm very happy. I'm very, very happy. And bishop a3 comes, knight b5 comes, everything flows knight b3, knight c5, like we just win. We just win this. Like I don't believe that there's going to be attack. Oh, I did have one more candidate move. This was h3, but I dismissed this almost as soon as it started because why create a hook for the opponent to potentially use? Like sure, maybe this is not working, but why even give the opponent some hope, right? So to me, I already don't want to calculate these moves because if they intuitively look wrong, there's probably something wrong with it. Like it's probably slightly loose for some reason. Like for instance, this move, maybe a6 is going to be annoying. Maybe then I'm losing time and then my opponent is gaining time, right? Or maybe this bishop a6, the bishop is on a loose square, right? Like maybe I've missed some kind of move where it like hits the bishop and attacks. So, you know, intuition is there for a reason. And I see no reason not to just play a4. So to be honest, I'm not going to take some risk. I don't think it's such a big deal. I just want to play a4. So he says it's not right. Try me. I'm happy with a4, but maybe I've missed something like very concrete that's just stronger. So okay, let's see what you guys are seeing. I'm probably playing you in board 1. Oh, let's go. I'm very down. I'm very down to play. Draw or win in the drama. You're gonna have to wait till the 38 minutes are up. So you got 2 minutes. 2 minutes to wait. Lucas, gotta choose the training first. Yo, I'm not multitasking. I'm not like calculating positions and reading chat at the same time. Like some of these amazing streamers can do it. That's not me. Candidate moves a4, knight b5, and queen b3. So okay, queen b3 I didn't consider as a candidate. I guess, you know, like this is to the point. Like we're putting an immediate threat, but at the same time, I don't like the fact that we don't have an escape. That's why I really like a4 first to have this escape on a2. Okay, Holden, see you around. Okay, I'm kind of feeling guilty now that I didn't reveal the drama, but I'm sure Holden can catch the end of the stream a bit later. White does not need to worry about the attack yet. Attacking d5 seems good. Queen b3 seems nice. Fair enough. Maybe this was a candidate move I should have considered. a4, yeah, exactly, Frizz. Knight b5 was my favorite. Don't consider it, or you're saying I didn't consider it? Like, I don't know. I looked at it, but something's just off. But okay, let's have a look. Aha, knight b5. Okay, Steven with the move. Good job. So it says this move helps white in improving their knight's position and clear the c-file for white's pieces. Right, so when I was calculating in my head, I did consider that maybe we can actually sack the queen. And the point being is that the 2 rooks are going to be better than the queen because the pawn structure is so solid and our king is looking so safe. And when the king is safe and the pawn structure is solid, the rooks are normally better. So I kind of did see that, yeah, this is actually kind of stopping rook c8 as well. At the same time, yeah, I prefer this a4. So let's see what the difference in eval is. Okay, so knight b5 is literally, I was going to say +1. Engine reckons +0.7. And what about a4? Okay, it's equal, but okay, it's +0.5 upon further reflection. So basically, you know, we're good. But yeah, this is the thing, right? Like, okay, actually, you know what, Steven, you're wrong. To play for this imbalance and to play for the rooks against, okay, actually it's +2. Okay, maybe I can't prove my point. But what I was going to say is because we are statically better in the start position, right? There is actually no need to try and get even more through dynamic means. Like, sure, okay, we can be +2 instead of +0.5, but the fact that we can actually make improving moves in the starting position with like a4, in theory, we should be able to improve our position more than black can improve as, and we will be able to then have an even stronger knockout blow in a few moves. This is the principle, right? So, okay, concretely, sure, maybe knight b5 is working out, and in fact, yeah, we can play for dynamic means immediately and get away with it. But, okay, like, there's absolutely nothing wrong playing statically in this position, and in fact, it's probably even principled, in my opinion. But okay, it also gives this line. And see, you're already having to play some, like, okay, maybe it's fine. Maybe it's literally completely fine. And then going in with the trade of queens. Okay, and white's better due to the active pieces. But interestingly, knight c7 is a mistake, and in fact, black is getting some counterplay. So you see exactly this kind of stuff, right? If you try and punish your opponent by bringing in these pieces and playing very actively, it can go wrong, right? Because you're trying to get too much out of a position before improving your position slowly but surely. Why is the pawn not on a4? Why is the queen not on a2? If the rooks were doubled on the c-file and this was the configuration, we would be winning. But instead, we are getting into a mess of minus 0.3. So it's all about like risk and, making the right practical decisions as well. So if you can calculate like an engine and you can, be able to navigate such complications and you're certain that you're not going to make a mistake like knight c7 and find queen c7 instead, even though, okay, this is literally the same eval as what I was talking about. But okay, I made my point. This is my rant. But I think a4 is fine. Okay, guys, training is over. A knight c7 coming. Whoops. Let's go. Steven, you've been called out. Okay, you appreciated the analysis, Will. I'm glad you enjoyed it. That's actually mad though that you're into chess though. That's kind of cool. I mean I knew that you played a bit in school, but it's cool that you're still playing. But yeah, on to the conclusion of the drama. And do we pause the Pokemon music for the drama? We need something more dramatic. No, I feel like we need something more dramatic. Okay, let's throw on the Zelda music for the dramatic vibes. But yeah, basically, the league secretary, or not league secretary, the committee, wrote back to my captain with this response, and I'll read it out. It goes, okay, for anyone who's joining the stream and doesn't know the context, basically, I played a game on Wednesday, a league match, where I was completely dead lost. I played a move that I thought was checkmate. My opponent thought it was checkmate as well. We agreed that the game was a checkmate and the game was up. And literally like 20 seconds afterwards, my opponent realizes that it's not a checkmate. And we're just like, oh shit. But because we've shaken hands on the result, in theory, the result should stand. Now, my opponent was very, very upset. And actually, the whole team were like fuming. And they thought that I was a complete snake for like claiming the win. And I should be losing this game. And it's completely unfair, yada yada. But the rule is the rule, right? So, okay, my captain, emailed the league officials along with the other team captain, explained the situation, and this is what the guy said. So he said, hi Henderson, our captain. I've had communication from Harborough about last night's match, and in particular about the game between Michael and Patrick. Both myself and Andy, who you probably know is a qualified arbiter, know the details, or at least we think we do, and we are quite clear that we do not believe there are any grounds for Black, my opponent, claiming a win, because the players shook hands on a result and pausing the clock is not an offence in itself, and in any case did not disadvantage Black. That said, we are both of the opinion that it would be a sporting gesture for Michael to have retrospectively agreed a draw post-handshake. Now, for the record, in the heat of the moment, hell no was I going to like just say, oh, let's just have a draw, because that would completely downgrade the whole argument, right? Like if I was like ready to say like, oh, let's just both call it a draw, it's kind of like, my argument actually isn't legit. But I was like sure that, I was right in the matter. Not 100% sure, but I was pretty sure. But yeah, luckily the team had already won the match, so this wasn't really a problem. Yada yada yada. Now, basically, Henderson wrote to me and said, you were right about the situation, but I would probably listen to the higher powers and agree the draw. That was my captain's take. And you got to realize when you're playing for a team, you've really got to consider the team's opinion, right, on the matter. And like, if we're going to have a feud with this club who we're going to have to play and have been playing for the past 50 years, and it's all going to be because of me, this is like something I've got to take on board, right? So this is one factor. Now, the other factor as well, which is a little bit shady actually, but what I realized was that in the report, right, this report by the league officials, there was no mention about the fact that when I offered the draw, not offered the draw, when I played the checkmate, I verbally said, I made the move and said, like, unfortunately, like, I said, like, sorry, man, unfortunately, this is checkmate, and I played the move, right? But ultimately, that probably gave some kind of impact to my opponent. Now, I don't know, it's not in the FIDE rules, like, this kind of situation, it's just so, like, obscure. It's not in the rules, right? Exactly, like, what that breach is, but definitely it's kind of dodgy. It's definitely kind of, like, somewhat dodgy, but ultimately that shouldn't it shouldn't impair my opponent's ability to, play the right move. It's like, if I threaten a checkmate in 1 and my opponent misses it, that's on them, right? They shouldn't miss the checkmate in 1, but if they miss it and they lose, right? So basically my opponent, thank you for the follow or subscription, whatever that is, I had a noise. But yeah, basically, my opponent shook hands on a result, did not bother to check the position properly if it was a checkmate, and also when he was playing, he was trying to convert the position without even looking at what I was doing. Like, it was very, very close to a checkmate, and my opponent completely wasn't looking, right? So, he had some things to fault for it, and, to actually agree the checkmate, and, like, this is completely idiotic as well, right? To be honest. So, all in all, I came up with this response. So I wrote, "Hi Paul, thank you for your response on the matter. As a national arbiter myself and a competitive player for the past 15 years, I've learnt it's often best just to follow the rules. Leave morals/ethics aside and let the FIDE handbook have the final say." And on this point, like, I remember when I was younger, I used to actually give a shit about my opponent. And I remember I was playing a guy. He's dead now, so, at least I made him a bit happy, like, by letting him off. But basically, he touched a piece when I had my opponent in check, and he didn't realize he was in check. And as a result, he should have moved that piece, blocking the check. I would just win that piece for free. I would easily be winning, and I would win the game, right? But I let him off because it was an interesting position. I cared more about the chess. I was just like, okay, what's the point of me winning a piece and winning the game? Like, it's just like, okay, it's rated, who cares? Like, I just want to play this game. I ended up losing, and as a result, the team lost 2.5, 1.5. And, okay, I completely have myself to blame. I literally let down the team, and ultimately, as soon as you start giving mercy on your opponent, it's just dumb. Like, the whole point of chess is that you're playing for the win, right? Like, you don't just stop, like, let's say, playing for checkmate because you feel bad for your opponent, right? Like, no, this is chess, you play to win. So, okay, this is my opinion. But, okay, I said, having said that, I did feel particularly bad about this one. Pat had well and truly outplayed me from the start to finish, yet I came away with a full point. Despite this, both of us genuinely believed I had swindled a checkmate at the very end, and in fact, I'd faced a very similar experience in a tournament many years ago, where I was on the receiving end and lost as a result of agreeing the wrong result. So as I said in the last stream, yeah, basically the same thing happened to me, where I got checkmated, I shook hands, realized it wasn't a checkmate, and unfortunately, because I'd shaken hands on a result, that's the result final. And just to clarify the situation, I don't know if any of you were following the World Blitz, like the FIDE World Blitz event. I think it was the FIDE World Blitz, where basically there was a round where one side managed to grind out rook and bishop against rook against an opponent and checkmated. But in fact, after the result was agreed, of course, the players shook hands. The next round, the result was overturned by the arbiters. And in fact, the 75th move had been played, which means that the game is ending at that point. It is a draw. This is like an extension of the 50th move rule. And if 75 moves have been played, no one has claimed it. It doesn't matter. The game is a draw. And the reason why that got overturned, even though the players had shaken on the result, is because the game has technically ended. It's imagine like, you play like a king and bishop against a king. King and bishop against a king with no other pieces, it's a draw. And on Lichess, the game ends. In over the board chess, the game ends because it is a draw. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that's the rule. So the point is, or maybe actually no, maybe one of the players has to claim it. I'm actually not so sure. But the point is 75 moves have been played and not a pawn had been moved. Therefore, the 50th move has been in place and the game had ended at that point before the players had shaken hands. So that is a different case and that is why that could be overturned. So I was a bit confused about that at first, but that's the situation. So yeah, shaking hands is final unless the game has literally ended before the hands have been shaken. So I then put, since we are now talking beyond the laws of chess, I'd like to also mention that I did not appreciate the belittling from Harbour's board 1, stating that I was dishonourable for claiming the win. And for the record, this is actually quite nice of me to word it like this, because he was extremely rude, and he was repeatedly, like, completely dismissive and insulting, like, me for this situation, and saying, oh, I should just go back and, like, accept the loss and stop being a sore loser kind of stuff. But anyway... in contrast, Pat was visibly upset by the situation, but didn't target me directly. After all, it was a genuine mistake from both of us. And I have to give it to Pat that, he was ever so close to just completely losing it and completely, like, just, giving me every insult under the sun. But he managed to hold his tongue. And I kind of respect that, I kind of respect that. So, to be honest, if he had completely, like, just insulted me, I probably would have just, fought my ground. Like, ultimately there's nothing he can do, because there's literally nothing he can do. I mean, like, the game was never finished as a win, right, for him. Like, the game it's either, like, called off and it's just defaulted, it's either agreed a draw or I win, right? So, but I kind of respect that, right? So, but all in all, I've decided that I will agree to the draw post handshake. I'm never usually charitable when it comes to chess as a player, but to avoid further escalation, I'd be willing to amend the result to a draw. And both of the league officials, the arbiter and Poole, were very thankful for my sportsmanship. Henderson also appreciated it. And I guess I'm growing old. Like, there would have been a point where, I would have, like, hustled for these 10 points, these 10 rating points, and instead I'd probably get, like, a -1 or something. But... okay, at the same time, I completely and utterly got killed this game, and I really shouldn't have got anything from the game. And if my tactics had been slightly better, I wouldn't have even got that. But okay, you could say, like, you just got to take your wins, right? And a part of me, like, does feel like, I still deserve it in some way. But ultimately, I'm playing for a team, right? And ultimately, the captain has given his opinion. Ultimately... this is the club's reputation on the line as well. And I don't think anyone would, like, hold it completely against me, if at all. But I probably have some slight feeling that, it ain't right. Like, it's a very close one. It's like a kind of like maybe 60-40% in favor of agreeing the draw for me. But yeah, that's the conclusion to the epic story of me checkmating with 2 knights against a rook, bishop, knight, and 1,000 pawns when it wasn't even a checkmate. Oh, how about king versus 2 knights? Is it a draw immediately and over the board? No. If you lose on time with the king against the king and 2 knights, you lose. Because theoretically, you can set that position up, right? It doesn't matter if it's forced or not. Like, okay, come on, internet. You got this. I know it's not gonna work. Oh, it's gonna work. Let's go. It might just be my computer completely packing it up as well. But yeah, just to be clear, right? Like, if you have this position and black runs out of time, of course this is a win, because you can literally set up a checkmate, right? I mean, the point is, when you have this starting position, right? Let's imagine that black only had a single pawn, right? If white runs out of time in this position, black wins. Because technically, black and queen win all of these pieces. Is this forced? Obviously not. Obviously, this can never happen. But these are the rules. If it can happen, that's it. That's you win. Oh boy, okay. The FIFA 12 and PS2 chess sessions, oh my god. So, to clarify this, I literally had a birthday party. I think it was like for my 15th. And I literally invited a bunch of friends round. and everyone played a bit of chess and played FIFA. And I decided to make a tournament where your aggregate results of chess in your standings as well as FIFA would be added together to be crowned the overall winner. And that was actually really fun. That was a good birthday party. And I seem to remember, like, I had a friend who was very, very good at FIFA, probably the best of us out of all of us. His name was Istiak. And he didn't know how to play chess, and he was so embarrassed, like, well, because all of us knew a bit. I mean, obviously I knew the most, but like, yeah, he he was like moving the pawn like this, and oh, it was good banter. Okay, good call and agreeing with draw from Sven. Okay, appreciate the support, Sven. I mean, yeah, lots of factors to be considered. I think maybe if I was like on the grind to National Master, and let's say like my rating was like within 50 points, then I just have to be cruel and just like take everything. But I'm so far away from actually getting like a National Master title or any title for that matter. Yeah, the guy, I'll be merciful. I'll be merciful for the first and last time in the last, I don't know, 5 years of my chess. But yeah, that's it from me. I think that's all. Thank you guys, everyone, for tuning in. Really appreciate the support. And yeah, I guess the training continues tomorrow. So we have literally gained a whole minute of training, which I think is actually amazing. Since the start of this challenge like a week ago. So yeah, we're just gonna keep going, keep making content, and see how far we go.